Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night. Yay, it's Plausible Deniability. Look at all the people we got here. It's so much fun. Hey, I'm Michael Cross.
Johnny Payne.
I'm Brook. What state am I in, Bullock?
And Aidyn Cross.
Aidyn. So
Back
good to have you here
again
with us.
for more 2024 edition talk.
I know.
Woo!
So much to talk about.
Now I'm with all three of the grognards. Now I'm
That's
with all three
right.
Of you.
Yeah.
Pretty intimidating.
Eventually, your square is
Hey
just
there,
going to get smaller and
everybody.
smaller and smaller on the
Welcome
screen, and we're just
to
going to be
Thursday night.
talking about
Yay.
arthritis and sports or something.
Don't talk about your backs, okay?
Yeah, we
understand your backs
right.
are bad. It's okay.
So I got a
Aidyn
prescription today for
Did you pay full price because AARP has a discount?
I know. If you look it up if I call the feds, they can take care of it for me. It's really nice.
Fantastic.
Aidyn Cross and I in the same room at the same time, putting to bed the myth that I had found the Fountain of Youth.
That's
And,
right.
womp, 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 womp. So-
Brooke and Aidyn are not the same person. That would be awkward.
That'd be really weird, especially for normal recordings.
Yes, exactly.
To do two
Come on.
voices.
One of us talks to themselves a lot, and I
Yeah.
just let the audience decide who that is.
And we are going to talk about the new Players Handbook is coming up. Before we get a whole bunch of people in here, before we talk about the Players Handbook, have you heard about the way to get the Players Handbook early?
Is it involve Grand Theft Auto?
No.
Do I have to get a job at Hasbro?
No.
Does it
Wait.
involve
I have a
Grand Theft Auto?
I have a follow-up question. If I do, will the Pinkertons show up?
It's probably.
That's a valid question.
No, they are they're not giving away. They are selling the brand new 2024 Players Handbook at Gen Con.
Oh yeah.
In 2
limited
weeks.
edition covers. They're only bringing 11,000 or something. They're bringing
I-
a small number of some limited edition covers.
I heard only 3,000.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah.
You have to have one ticket per purchase
Mm-hmm.
per day. So
That's the great thing about Gen Con is you do get a lot of stuff before Street Date.
Yeah.
That's
So
why a lot of game releases are in August.
yeah, it made me really consider going to Gen Con.
No doubt. And you said one ticket per day. So, I can't go to Gen Con and buy 25 copies of it.
Correct. That is how they're going to make sure that somebody doesn't come in and buy 3,000 copies and then just throws it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
eBay.
That too. Either
Yeah.
way.
But yes, but great. I mean, it's wonderful. The great thing I love about it is the people that will be at Gen Con are the actual gamers that a lot of them have their YouTube shows. So hopefully we'll be able to actually see some real stuff coming out probably the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
7 days is when it begins.
Yeah.
You got 7 days to pack the van.
And excuse my ignorance, isn't Comic-Con going on right now? So aren't they
San Diego
back
Comic-Con?
this year? Yeah.
I think it just finished.
Yeah.
Oh, just finished. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
I
fact,
thought they were
Wizards
kinda
of the
like-
Coast was there too.
Yeah, I figured they were
Yeah, they
back
didn't
to
make
back.
the rounds. That's the interesting thing with this being the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Wizards of the Coast hasn't had a presence at Gen Con for a long time. They used to come and have their whole booth was just a big walkthrough experience. I think I've showed you guys pictures before where they had the giant life-size Loth and
Oh,
and
yeah.
Drizzt
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything. It was great. I bought some of their board games from them just to say I bought this from the designers that were there and such. And then they started HasCon, and you can still
What a terrible
play
name.
Wizards
That's
of
a
the-
terrible name.
I know. You can play Wizards of the Coast games, of course, at Gen Con. Baldman runs their league room, and it's just an ocean of people playing it. Of course, Magic the Gathering has a huge presence, but they now don't go to. But for the 50th anniversary, they've started showing up. Michael, a neat thing too. Colt Stadium is where the D&D games take place. You can literally
Oh.
play a DDAL game on the 50-yard line.
Ah,
It connects to an underground tunnel and everything. Yeah, Gen Con has gotten that big. It's spread that far over.
someday I want to go to more cons. I do want to go to. I think it'd be a lot of fun. It doesn't matter of paying for them. That's the only thing.
I am already starting the savings account for. I turn 50 next year, and we are taking a road trip to Gen Con.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
I think it'd be good. And also, I mean, I want to. Aiden and I talked about possibly going down to ReaperCon for just a one day. Let's go and see what it's all about. Just because it's a day trip down to Denton.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, it's a little harder to get to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a fun trip. That drive is a fun. You pass some really cool stuff. You pass the fireworks tobacco liquor store in Missouri. You pass.
That's,
No, it's an
that
experience.
is a bad combination.
If you're just
Now, do you
buying
have
a
to purchase
t-shirt,
them? Do you have to legally purchase them in a certain order?
No, you can
No,
get a
you just have
basket
to consume them in a certain order, not purchase them in a certain order.
Yeah, the world's largest gift shop is on the way to, without any detour, it's on the way to Gen Con. You pass the Arch in St. Louis. That's a great little area. They have like their own little Bricktown area there, where every single time I've gone to Gen Con, the Arch has been closed for some reason. Construction on the Arch, construction around the Arch. There's been some reason we could not visit the Arch. So hopefully next year.
The Percy Jackson miniseries answers that question for you.
Yes, it is. The Percy Jackson actually had a fight in the Arch, and yes, that's why
It's under repair. So you know.
Right on. It's a good trip.
So we got a lot of people here. We got Ruffles of Falcor, Curtis. Oh my gosh! Wow, so
He's
good to see you guys.
alive.
Yeah. So real quick before we get into the Players Handbook, we have a new leader, new fearless leader at Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, I can't believe that Biden. At Wizards of the Coast.
No, Wizards of the Coast. Yes. Yes. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about the politics.
That's right. We're not talking about that at all. We're going to talk
about those politics. Are you crazy?
Oh yeah. Here's better politics. John Hyde.
Cross us to talk about those all the time.
I know, but I don't talk about it on here.
Exactly.
That's right. That's a
If I
day
talk
job.
about it- If I talk about it, I'm getting paid for it.
That's right. That's right. If I'm talking about it, I'm getting up at 2:30 in the morning to talk about it. John Haidt is coming over from Blizzard.
Microsoft. Blizzard. Well, he worked at Microsoft in the past, and he's coming over from Blizzard, specifically World of Warcraft, specifically focused on expansions for World of Warcraft. So it seems like a logical replacement for Cynthia Williams in the path that she was on, being Xbox and focusing on monetization and DLC and subscription service and stuff. So it looks like they're still holding true to the whole digital world of D&D in our near future.
Well, we know they were going. We knew they were going digital anyway. That was never. I don't think that was any kind of a secret. We're not trying. I think
the question was like, how hard were they going to go with the digital?
But I don't think there was any. We didn't have to read any tea leaves on this one. This was they were going when they bought. Actually, I thought when they bought D&D Beyond, that was like, oh, that's the sign of the times. That's the one they're trying to go complete digital. Has anyone used any of their maps or any of their digital stuff?
I was going to say, has anyone seen their VTT lately? It was in the news for a while.
VTT is still garbage. I will admit. It's still not great. They can't beat Roll20 yet, and they're sure as heck not beating Foundry yet.
Yeah.
Foundry's just that's the one to beat.
Everyone was worried that Roll20 or D&D Beyond was going to beat out Roll20 and beat out. It's like. They've got to prove it first. They got to prove it first.
They could if they just need a lot more fine tuning, and I mean a lot more fine.
Of course, it is all still in beta, so they're
I know one of their downfalls was they had a group of like celebrity content creators and such come in. They had them come in physically and sit at a table with laptops and run it. And someone asked, "This isn't the kind of laptop I have at home. If I want to run this on a laptop, do I need these specs?" And they said, "Oh yeah, it runs on this engine and has these requirements." And they're like, "Well, that's pretty heavy considering the other ones out there just running your browser."
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's
so they got a lot of kinks to work out. They are and technically Roll20. How long have they been around now? About 10 years. 10,
Roll20's been around for a while. I don't know how long.
And so and whatever Wizards of the Coast is going to do, they've basically got to go from the ground up. So, I mean, Roll20 is not the same as it was. Remember when I think you and I played it back in like 2018, 2017, And it has gotten.
It was also very rough in 2018.
Oh yeah, it is evolved because people work on it. People put in their feedback, and
the other thing legally that Foundry and Roll20 can do better than D&D Beyond is always going to be it can do different tabletops too. They're never going to be able to do, oh, we're D&D Beyond's tabletop. We can do Call of Cthulhu, or we can do they can't even do Pathfinder. They can't do it. It's
can't
not
do Pathfinder.
possible.
Can't do. And what was somebody saying that the what's that future Shadowrun is apparently on Roll20 is probably one of the best online systems to roll it on. So run it on.
I run Cyberpunk, and honestly, the Cyberpunk character sheets aren't great, but I mean they work. It's just like there are things that D&D Beyond is always going to not be great at.
Right.
And my personal opinion is this virtual tabletop could be really good, but once again, it's only going to be good for D&D.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah. It's just like, if you want to read comic books online, if you get Marvel Unlimited, that's great, but you will not be able to read anything but Marvel comics. Whereas
that's why you go to getcomics.now and just
or Comixology. You go to Comixology, you can get all of the comics. So if it depends on what you're wanting out of it, and if you're just wanting to play D&D, then, and I still say eventually, not right now, but eventually maybe D&D Beyond will be the place to be. Right now, we're still doing Red Dirt Outlaws on Roll20. There's a reason for it. We're not going to switch over to D&D Beyond until it gets better.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm ever. I feel like if anything, I'm going to upgrade to Foundry probably because I've heard some great
Foundry
things
is
about Foundry.
I played on that game for 2 years in a Pathfinder campaign.
It's also a one-time purchase, I believe. Am I correct on that? It's a one-time purchase.
But don't the players also have to pay? Which is I think the reason why. Oh, okay.
As a player, I didn't pay a dime. Yeah.
How much is it?
Yeah. It's like $40.
It's not. It's a one-time fee.
One-time
and then
fee,
you get
$40.
linked into the Forge, and have the Forge manage your games for you. So it makes for logging. It turns Foundry into Roll20's like character management system and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really
because Roll20 is actually once you get up to buying the stuff that you have to buy for Roll20 to get like the memory and stuff.
It's honestly more worth it to probably pay for Foundry once rather than paying for Roll20 every month. Yeah. And honestly, the only reason we're still doing Red Dirt Outlaws on Roll20 is because I can pre-purchase modules on there instead of having to make all my own stuff.
I don't know.
Can
you pre-purchase
Foundry? No, you can't pre-purchase stuff on Foundry.
Yeah.
Not books that are already published. But once we move out of pre-published books, I'll probably move over to Foundry.
Yeah.
I will tell you this,
Johnnie,
Michael.
go.
I know a lot of times you say the barrier for entry for playing other systems is learning all the rules. If you're playing on Foundry and you pay for the module for that system, you don't have to know anything. It's so much so that I forgot how to play Pathfinder at the table. Seriously. It was like, why are these numbers so low? Why am I not rolling high and hitting as hard on Foundry? Oh my god, I forgot this, and this because you just basically give it your character sheet and it takes over and it's like and it knows.
Wow.
It's like push the button and it does all the numbers for you.
And if you're when you're fighting a monster, if the monster has certain resistance, I mean, it does all the math for you. So there's been times before where we fought, and it's like, how did that crit only do that little bit of damage? And the GM has to go back in and pick up the physical book that he owns and flip through and go, oh, it's got all these resistances.
Yeah.
And Foundry knew it.
Wow. We might have to do some test stuff on Foundry to see how it works.
This just reminds me how complicated Pathfinder 2e is. We were playing Call of Cthulhu. We were playing Call of Cthulhu for the first time the other day. That system was real simple.
Oh my
gosh. Very rules light.
Did everybody die? Because that's the rule.
No, everybody actually lived. We had a stage magician that almost died.
That's right.
The scientist almost also died. They got some weird spooky image things, and some of them went a little insane, but they were mostly fine.
Just a little insane. And I'd been wanting to do Call of Cthulhu since the 80s. It was my first time to be it. Aidyn ran us as the GM, and it was so much fun. I loved it. I want to do it again. So hopefully we can do something like that. Red Dirt Outlaws.
We're talking about a lot of digital stuff in other games. Wizards of the Coast got a new president. That's what
who we think wants
Wizards
to
of the
make
who?
D&D Beyond as good as Foundry.
They're gonna make D&D into a video game. Anyway, so I also saw that Dark Horse was it, got the rights to do Magic and D&D in 2025. So there'll be some. I mean, it allows them to do comics, and yes, they can do some crossover, but they also have some independent ones. I used to love the D&D comics, so hopefully Dark Horse will be able to do that, and that'll be really good. So
and talk about
crossovers with Magic the Gathering. They are about to release a Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
What?
Monty Python and the Holy Grail crossover with Magic the Gathering. Yeah,
that might get me back into the store for a month or two.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Nasty tea.
That's how I was feeling about like the Fallout crossover too. I was like, wait, when did they do a crossover with Fallout? I was like, I really want to purchase one of these decks just because their cards are cool.
One of the lands is a cave of Kyr Banor. Yeah.
I see what they're doing, right? I mean, just buy one deck. Oh, you just buy the one. I see the
first one's free.
First one is free.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
Free.
Not gonna. Yeah, they probably will get me on that one.
And also very quickly, Matthew Lillard is selling another whiskey.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
West End has a new one out called Warlock. Which, if you get a chance, at shopquestendwhiskey.com. It's only $149 a bottle.
Only $140.
It's only.
Man,
I'll be back.
Yeah. So, it looks good, and it looks tasty, and it's all part of Matthew Lillard's Quest End whiskeys that he's come out with. So
I would have never predicted Matthew Lillard would start doing whiskey D&D stuff.
What the heck?
You never know. So
on. That's it right there. So and it looks I don't think I've ever had or drank $149 whiskey.
Yep.
So it better be awesome. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And they've done some things where each one has come, as you can tell, where each one is a little book.
Yeah. So
no way.
Oh my gosh,
I'm gonna what? Hold on. Let me get out of here for a second. I'm gonna stop sharing. What? You have the Rogue.
Yeah.
Fitting.
Dude.
Yeah, it comes packaged in a really nice box, has a map on it and stuff, and they give you a little certificate, and then the Rogue story and.
Sweet. I was just gonna ask that, and I realized you were gone. If it came with a book with a story.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, and so does the Warlock one too.
Yeah, they all do. The Paladin one did.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. The Paladin one sold
Still
completely
sealed.
out. Still sealed.
So we're all going over to Johnny's this weekend.
I was just gonna say we can help fix that for you, but
you guys have fun with that. I can't go.
That's true.
If we were in a different country,
we gotta wait 3 more years, 2.5 more years, and you can come drink.
Yeah, let that whiskey,
whatever age you are.
let that whiskey age 3 years.
just tell your dad you're going to so and so's house, and oh wait, he's right here in the room.
That's right. Yeah, I played that one. Okay,
well, it's Johnny's house, not me. I mean, I'm not the one that's gonna get in trouble.
So let's start talking about this new Players Handbook.
Oh, that's right. That's what we're talking about
Is
today.
coming out.
That's why I'm here.
So I didn't. We didn't really kind of plan this, which we probably should have, about what we want to talk about. We finished talking about with the Rogue. And so the next one on the list is, of course, they talk about the Circle of the Moon Druid, but I think we could probably wait until they actually get to the Druid versus Druid, because I figured we'd go to the Wizard versus Wizard talk. But before we do that, I had a couple thoughts. First off, I'm not certain how I feel about the idea of subclasses at 3rd level for 2 of the classes.
Which ones would those be?
Cleric and Warlock.
I agree with you.
Meaning you don't like the fact that they're at 3rd level, or you don't like the subclasses themselves?
Why, Aidyn?
Because, if you're a Warlock or a Cleric, you kind of already know who you're either making your pact with, or who your god is, or who your domain is. And I'd almost argue, for me, it's the same thing with sorcerer as well, because you know what your bloodline is. You don't
know why you
don't
have
go,
magic.
what's my bloodline, until 3rd level.
Yeah. Now I
Like,
could kind of understand it with a sorcerer, because you could make it. I've got all this magic. I don't know why I have this magic. I have these things I can do, and it's not till my 3rd level I figure out why. But warlock, you've made a deal. You've made a pact. That's how you have your power.
Is not completely unbelievable. Like, imagine like some sort of dark, shady figure approaches you and says, "You want a deal for some magic?" And you're an adventurer. You have a backstory. You probably did something to get to this point. That's not great. And you're like, "Sure." You don't know what you made a deal with yet, so I can kind of understand that. But cleric.
I know.
Cleric.
Even if you're like saying, "Oh, I'm an acolyte. I haven't become a full-fledged cleric." There's a god that you are supposed to be getting your powers from. Is that god a trickery god? Is it a life god? Is it a light god? Is it, you should. So, which means, unfortunately, it just, and I don't know how they're going to word it, and they might word it to where I'm all accepting of it in Players Handbook, but it makes it to where you've still got to know what subclass you're going to go into at 1st level. You have to know that before you get to 3rd level.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, it's whatever. It's game mechanic stuff.
And I understand
really
why
is,
they're doing it. It's just it's those two. Because the other ones I can kind of go, yeah, because you can kind of work your way into it. Even sorcerer, I could say, you've got all this weird magic stuff, and all of a sudden you can pick your subclass when you go into it. But it's just so weird that for cleric and for warlock, Anyway, the other thing I was thinking was, you notice they've only got 4 subclasses for each one, and about months ago we were talking about possibly putting out splat books.
Yeah,
they could put out these books that are just rogue, and it's got like 5-6 subclasses in it. Well, just wizard, it's got 5 or 6 subclasses plus some other stuff in there. The other thing, I think this opens wizards up to, and it'd just be really lazy of them to let third parties do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already allowed third parties onto D&D Beyond. Maybe they're just going to go, you know what? Cobalt Press, you do put out some subclasses. Humblewood, you put out some subclasses, and
only if they're AL legal.
Well, I think they would have to be.
Yeah, if they're officially like not sanctioned. What's the word? I guess done by other companies, by Wizards of the Coast, and I think they would have to be
approved by Wizards of the Coast. I think
approved by the Wizards of the Coast is the word I'm looking for there.
So
like, surely they'd be AL legal. If not, that'd be kind of weird for them to release splat books on D&D Beyond and then have not the subclasses be legal.
Right. Well, and that's why I'm hoping Wizards puts out the splat books. But I think it was just a thought that came to me today, and I thought, oh, Wizards, don't be that lazy. Please don't be that lazy. Please don't be that lazy.
It's Wizards we're talking about here. So
you're like, oh, it's okay. Other third parties will take care of it. So we can only make 4 subclasses and then move on to the next thing.
And in recent time, I'd be okay with that, because the Cobalt Press stuff and anyway, Green Ronin, right? Their stuff has been just as good, maybe better than official release.
Without a doubt. It just have to be officially and allowed on D&D Beyond for it to be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All I'm saying is we talked about that a few months ago, and if they do the splat books and Johnny Payne suddenly starts riding around in new cars, we know what happened.
Yeah.
What else was there with the Warlock in the new stuff?
What's that?
What else is there going on with the Warlock?
Okay, so let's go to Warlock while we're here. 2014.
Warlock's good, because honestly, I'll be honest with you, I've looked through Wizard before, and I was like, wait, why don't I remember any changes to Wizard? Because there really aren't any changes to Wizard.
Really. Well, the only thing that's really fun about Wizard is that at 5th level, they get with a short rest, you can change one of your spells. And I thought, what a great... Well, because there's so many spells that are situational.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
And how many times have you gone, like, Featherfall? Okay, Featherfall is situational. But how many times, if you don't have Featherfall when you need it...
Splat book.
Yeah. Splat book. What are we doing here?
You don't have to jump over that if you don't want to. So, but I'm just showing a picture of the wizard. So one of the pictures, anyway.
Oh, it's
The
not
wizard-
coming up.
But Wizard
That's all right.
didn't really
No.
change too
No,
much.
Wizard didn't. But I just thought with the with the oh, now everything's slowing. I don't know what's going on now. I just messed everything up. Sorry about that, guys. Everything just got wonky.
Oh, sorry. Might have been me.
Yeah, turn that off.
I shall stop the streaming.
Yes.
So there we go.
There we go. Anyway, so the nice thing about that is, say you're about to cross a bridge or whatever, you could say, guys, let's take a short rest. Let me prep Featherfall. You know, it allows for that. I think a little bit more freedom. So on changing things. Anyway, so but Warlock.
Warlock's mostly, well, just kind of giving you a brief overview. It's kind of also been mostly left unchanged, but there's some really good changes to it as well.
Yeah.
So is
yeah.
Hex the same?
They haven't done anything with Hex.
Okay.
Hex is the same.
Yeah. Since they don't mention it, then
I wanted to see it. I wanted to see a change with Hex because Michael, what does Hex do?
We also
Hex
haven't
adds
seen
an
the
extra
we haven't
D6.
seen the spells yet, so
Right.
we don't know.
we don't
Okay,
know.
That'd be a spell changes thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hex adds the extra D6,
Uh-huh.
and also
Ability score disadvantage.
Yeah.
if think back to the last 100 times you rolled a D20 in 5e, of those 100 times, how many of them was rolling an ability?
During a
And-
fight.
and
During a fight. During a fight.
You
Now, I roll abilities all the time. We roll perception, survival. We roll those all the time outside of combat, but we never roll them inside of combat. That's the problem with that Hex.
Yeah, you're not gonna. You want to hex them during combat, and then that second thing is like,
Right.
You never see it. Yeah.
Where that is supposed to be used. And here's where it's supposed to be used is you've got someone like we've got Samantha, our barbarian, who will sometimes maybe go up and grapple people. For our Saturday night group, we had a guy, one of our fighter that's what he'd do. He'd go up and grapple people. So what you do is you hex them and you give them a disadvantage on their strength checks.
Yeah.
But that's the only case where
That's
that
really
usually
situational.
matters.
It,
Yeah, it's
it really is.
situational.
It really is. But but Hex was never meant. That was just a little throwaway extra thing. The whole point of Hex was to get the extra damage. Then there's the invocation of Maddening Hex, where you get an extra charisma damage bonus action on psychic damage.
Yeah.
So.
But I definitely could see the disadvantage on saving throws would be a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't. But
Yeah.
I think that's very powerful for a first level spell. Honestly.
Yeah.
And it pulls you together as a group because you just assess your group, and it's like, hey, I know he could do a lot if his X was down on saving throws.
I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea to give it that. But I think honestly, that's pushing the boundary of it still being a first level spell.
Yeah. And again, I think that is also supposed to be for because if somebody goes, oh, they've got a trip spell and they have to make a dex check rather than a dex save. So it's still that idea that you know your party, and so I'm going to make them disadvantaged because I never use that as blackjack. I always forgot. I'm hexing them so I can do damage.
I stopped calling it a long time ago. It was like, I'm hexing them, and no one even asked. No one even bothered. What ability? None. It doesn't matter.
None, because it doesn't matter.
I'm not going to use it.
You always should assume at strength because it's the only one that's really important usually.
Right.
Are hexes scalable right now? Do you get to add can you upcast a hex?
No,
or
it
anything?
lasts longer with upcasting.
You do upcast, but it does not increase the
longer,
damage.
but it's still
lasts
concentration.
longer. Right.
So it's
You're thinking Pathfinder.
This might be a hot take. I don't really like Hex as a spell. I think it's kind of not good. Especially at higher level. At first level, it's amazing. You get extra D6 to damage. At higher levels, it's like I get extra D6 to damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's D6 every time. So for a war, that's why Hex is really for a warlock, because you hit 5th level spell level, you are doing that extra 5. It lasts for 24 hours. And so every time you take a short rest, you just get that spell slot back. And you're doing that extra D6 for every one of your Eldritch Blasts.
That's a valid point.
You're doing
I'll give you that.
D10, 3D10 plus 3D6. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, Warlock.
Yeah.
Warlock 2024.
Yes. First off, you get your Eldritch Invocations at level 1.
Yeah.
Instead of level 2.
That's cool.
Mostly because they changed the subclass level.
Exactly.
I mean, And also, the other neat thing is packed boons are no longer packed boons; they're just invocations now, which makes so much more sense because all the packed boons are kind of, once again, just all right.
Yeah.
I think they fit better as invocations than as their own little thing.
They work okay. I think Chain and Tome are good.
Very good, yeah, they're good. I'd say.
But they're not. They're invocation good. Where you go, okay, well I'll pick that maybe if I want to. I do like the fact that you could pick all three of them for invocation.
Yeah, now you can get all three of them if you get enough.
Yeah, so you could have your really cool familiar, plus you could have your Tome
sword.
Or
sword.
Who cares?
Listen, I'm just saying they could fix Blade with this new edition.
Yes, they could
fix Blade. I think Blade will be fixed.
I'm just saying that as Aidyn said those things, the familiar and the book and the talisman, I totally saw that character in my head. Like he's right there and he's just, like he's like it's just
with the familiar, a book, a talisman, and a sword. Yeah.
Which is also really interesting because this brings up the next point of they get more invocations in general.
Yeah.
They get way more invocations in general, which means that you could have the talisman and the blade and the book and the other one, the familiar.
Yeah, the familiar.
But you could also have like repelling blast to knock him back with Eldritch Blast. I mean, you could have all sorts of fun combinations.
There are. And speaking about repelling blast, just real quickly. The repelling blast, those kinds of things will work toward any cantrip you choose rather than just Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
So you could do the damage with a Toll the Dead rather than...
Yeah, you could add your charisma bonus to the Toll the Dead. I think repelling blast is actually staying as Eldritch Blast specifically.
Yeah,
but I think like it's I can't think of the name of it. But basically you can add your charisma modifier to the Toll the Dead or a Sacred Flame or a Firebolt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a nice little thing to add options to your character.
Yeah, repelling blast, agonizing blast. Oh no, agonizing blast and repelling blast. I don't know. Anyway, but you can, but you can. But the other thing is, you can take that invocation again and do it to say thunderclap to another. So you could take it multiple times and just add it to another cantrip. So you could be like this cantrip blasting without just doing Eldritch Blast, which is, that's the reason why taking Eldritch Blast is because you've got all these invocations that make it that bump it up.
So what I'm hearing is Wizards put a Pathfinder 2e class in 5e.
Yes, they did. You've got to build it.
No, I'm just kidding. This is still far less complicated.
Yes.
But I do love that aspect that we're starting to see some, not reminiscences, but there is the idea for options is coming back again, right? Real true, your wizard will be different than my wizard. Warlock, you're different than my warlock. Kind of those 3.5 options are starting to come back again.
Yeah, we saw that really with the martial classes that we did a month ago. When we saw the fighting styles and the martial weapon, the weapon specialities. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really does allow for a lot of each. You could have a party of fighters, and each one of them is going to be totally unique and different. And I love that. It does go back to the 3.5 ideal of everyone. You could all be in the same class, and every character is going to be different.
Yeah.
One thing I will bring up, Johnny, since you mentioned Hex earlier, is that the Great Old One will be related more towards Hex, apparently. Like, they will be centered around the spell Hex, so I'm sure they're going to get some special fun stuff with Hex specifically.
Buff it up.
Driving people insane, and
driving people insane. Which I think, honestly, Great Old One has always needed a redo, and I think it's going to be fun.
They finally figured it out. And now, and we've kind of bashed on Wizards for not really, for kind of doing whatever it is they do, but it's obvious that over the last 10 years they have listened to people, and the changes they've made are not just based off of changes that they brought in for the one D&D test plays. This has been stuff they've been listening to for the past 10 years. So people go, you know what, like the Great Old One, that's a great idea, but you're not doing it right. You just kind of threw some stuff together and it never worked for that idea of this Cthulhian Eldritch horror type of pact thing.
It'll really be able to churn out. My perspective on it, without seeing it in action, is it's going to produce a lot of conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Which is what
What-
our Cthulhu Warlock
Yeah.
should do. Great Old One should do.
Yeah.
like
I know,
paralysis, fear, etc. Yeah.
honestly, like I look at this new stuff and I'm like, okay, this is really fun. And I was like, maybe original 5e could have used. I don't know if it would have turned out like this, but maybe original 5e could have used more time in the kitchen as well.
Well, I
They
think
to get over 4E.
yeah,
Yeah.
they wanted to get rid of the 4E, and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I feel like they probably rushed towards
yeah,
5e
and
way
they,
faster
and,
than.
and they did.
the hell
In
with
fact,
those
actually,
time.
when you hear from interviews with the guys who were doing it, it's like this. When we were doing it, they admit that they put it out really fast.
Yeah.
And they knew they had to. They had to get it out as quickly as possible. So they're fixing a lot of their mistakes from 10 years ago.
This feels like we're out of the playtest.
Yeah. Yes.
It's been
Yeah.
a 10 year
Take
long
10
wait.
years of playtest.
10-year long playtest.
We 10 years in alpha. Yeah, exactly.
Not the 2024 edition playtest, but the 5e playtest.
Yes. So we've got, I guess the spell slots. I guess you get them back after a short rest.
Correct. Yeah. No, they didn't change that. If
Right.
they didn't mention it, they didn't change it.
But once per long rest, you can complete a 1-minute ritual to restore half of your maximum pack magic spells.
Is
So
that once per? That's once per long rest, right?
yeah, but so
Okay,
basically
it's nice.
you get an extra spell slot without having to have a Rod of the Pack Keeper. That's kind of nice. Yeah.
Other things you get later on is you get contact other plane for free, which is just neat. I mean, it makes it sense because you can contact your patron.
Okay, I
Yeah.
gotta say something about this because as a DM that has run a couple of my warlocks, Aidyn, can you imagine that every day I go, "Hey, Oberon, what's up?" Just
Shut up.
I know.
Shut up.
That
Get out
is
of here.
exactly.
Shut up.
That should be the reaction every
It's
day.
like-
It's like, so what you did? Are you pooping? What's going on?
Almost makes me want to play like a warlock that's like X is their patron. So like they're just calling him every day. It's like, stop calling me.
But that the first time I looked at this again, you can do this once a day. Once a day, get ready, DMs, because you're gonna have your warlock contact whoever it is. They'll be contacting them once a day.
Yeah, because it doesn't even use a spell slot whenever you contact your
No!
patron either. That's just, it specifies that. Wow.
It's like, so what you doing?
Thankfully, there's a 9th level ability, so
Yes.
you know you don't get to call your patron. I'm sure they can probably contact you, but you can't call them until 9th level.
That's right. But it'll
Could
be
you
a lot
imagine
more
like
interaction.
calling Cthulhu? Like, what's he gonna say to you? Like,
Just
Whatever it is, you're gonna roll on the insanity table. Whatever it is, you're gonna. Yep.
It's Soviet Russia. Cthulhu calls you.
Look, yes, the warlock's
Go.
over in the corner drooling. What's he doing? He's talking to his patron, just
Go
going
buy
back and
me a-
forth.
go buy me a chili dog down in the stand, my warlock patron or my warlock servants.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but DMs get ready, because if I had this for blackjack,
Oh,
this would
boy.
change so much.
Oh,
If
yeah, this
once
would
a
change
day I'm
everything.
able to get a hold of Oberon. It's like, hey, what's going on? So
And he just cracked my whole plot line open.
I know we're over here. What's going on with you? Are you in jail?
Again.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh, do you want me to come bail you out?
And kind of the last,
Not to be that guy,
Yeah.
but in Pathfinder, the witch is their kind of warlocky
warlock,
version of that, right? And that you can ask your patron. It's an ability similar to that. But if you ask too much, there's a consequence. So
Oh,
they
really?
gave the DM the feedback, right? So you can ask, but if you ask
I'm-
too much,
I'm gonna
there's a
write that one.
consequence.
I'm gonna write that one down.
I think you
actually.
should.
I'll write that one down.
And you're actually
but-
playing a witch in Wayfinder Legends, correct?
Yeah. We had a conversation, episode 6. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's tons of fun. But that was about the second time inside of 6 episodes that we have said behind the table we need to make backup characters because we are going to die.
Yes.
Like it is.
You're doing it right. Yeah.
It is. It's a fantastic system and a fantastic game, but someone is going to die.
Yeah.
Like, it's just gonna happen.
Folks out there listening, Wayfinder Legends, look them up wherever you get podcasts. They just put their 6th episode out, and I've been loving it. And I'm not a big Pathfinder fan, and I tell you, it is fun. It's fantastic. Germs, Brooke, all the guys, Stacy, they've all been fantastic. So go check it out. Wayfinder Legends, wherever you get your podcasts. Anyway, Aidyn, what are you saying?
The last thing they get is basically just the ability to change out their Mystic Arcanum. Basically, I mean, you have that. You got to, you finally got your 6th level spells, but you finally gotten past that. You took a damaging spell, but now you're like, well, I don't really want that 6th level chain lightning anymore.
Yeah, you gotta change it out whenever you levels.
I saw what Brooke was looking at.
Oh, that cat is fabulous.
Are you seeing things? Are you seeing things?
It was like that was a perfect 1st level cat. Like, that's a familiar 1st level cat. Like, the cat just walks on, it's like, hey man, what's going on? And then forgets about gravity.
Yeah, she lays during. I think she's been in a lot of recordings.
Oh yeah,
like if you go back to Red Dirt Outlaws or Mysteries of Beatrix, you can see her walking around on my desk or laying down on my desk or knocking my camera over because she wants to go to the window that's behind my monitor.
Or all of a sudden a tail just goes in front of your face.
Yeah.
But now
she's avoiding me right now. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You shoved her on the floor. You moved gravity out of the way.
I did not shove her on the floor.
This is recorded. It's on tape. We're gonna go back and look.
It's on tape.
I went off. Oh, now she's over there.
Are you the cat's patron or are you the patron's cat? Like, I don't know which one that is.
She's my patron.
Yeah,
my patron. But yeah, that's all for Warlock.
Warlock, you do get an epic boon at level 19. Like, you get all the epic boons. And this one, they talk about the boon of fate, where when you or another creature within 60 feet of you succeeds or fails on a D20 test, you can roll 2d4 and add or subtract the result from the D20. Now, this comes back after a short rest, a long rest, or initiative.
Ooh. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, if once per battle you are coming in going, nope, you just failed that banishment that you just succeeded on, monster, you just failed it.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
I banished your banishment.
Yeah. So
the epic boons have been really cool.
They have been cool, and I think it's going to encourage people to go all the way.
Yeah, either to go all the way or to even go beyond 20.
I'm a teenage boy all of a sudden.
Yeah, of course you did. That's why I did it for you, Brooke.
That's what she. Never mind.
So, yes. Hey, yeah, be quiet. My son's here. So
that's right. That's right. Crazy.
But yeah, I think that was the other thing I was thinking about when you look at some of the capstone things that happen at higher levels. It really is going to encourage a lot more people to go to 20th level in one and not multi-class quite as much.
Or even beyond 20th, because once you go beyond 20th, you can also give epic boons to your characters too. That's kind of like the point of epic boons originally, but they wanted to give it to. I think they wanted to put it in the actual class level ups too, because to justify putting them actually in the player's handbook, as well as just giving you ability. Epic boon, which is nice. You get to choose what you get, which is once again adding more choices. I'd almost encourage DMs if you're playing, or if you're a DM like sorry to call Andrew out of here a little bit here, but if you're a DM like Andrew who likes throwing tough things at your party, and he does this all the time, he gives out boons all the time. So I think honestly, if you are a tough DM that really loves challenging your players and you throw hard things at them, giving them boons even at lower levels, pretty fun.
It is fun.
But I think that's it for Warlock.
Warlock
isn't changed too much, but it's very small changes, but like very significant.
Yeah.
Is what I would say for Warlock.
So I did not get a chance to read about. What did I totally missed Monk, so I'll have to get back to that one.
Monk! Oh, Monk is so good now.
Is it really? Oh,
do we want to talk about Monk?
Sure, let's go to Monk. I haven't read it yet. Okay. So I'll
pull up Monk. I will take the lead on this.
Yeah.
Okay. I will mind you, it's been a little bit since I looked at Monk, but I do think I remember it basically. So martial arts die starts at 1d6 and goes up to a d12 at max. Yeah, so it starts
1d4.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no longer 1d4, it's 1d6 because
You start better than the average commoner. That's awesome.
And you can use dexterity in place of your strength that you grapple or shove, which is nice. Which makes sense. Of course, all simple melee weapons are now considered monk weapons, as well as martial melee weapons with a light property. So you can use those for monk weapons.
Oh, that's awesome. That really opens up, again, talking about, adaptability and customizable things. That's awesome because now I'm not limited to like these 3 or 4 monk weapons, right? Now anything that is simple can be awesome.
Yeah. Then at second level, you get patient. So patient defense and step of the wind now allow you to disengage as a bonus action. So patient defense allows you to disengage as a bonus action for free. You don't have to spend any monk points for it or anything like that. But you can spend what's now called a focus point, no longer called key points, just focus points, to disengage and dodge as a bonus action. So basically, you can disengage and dodge in the same turn, which is nice.
Yeah.
Or you can or you can dash, and then let's see, or you can do step of the wind, which allows you to dash and disengage as a bonus action, and have your jump distance doubled.
So patient defense and step of the wind are now free.
Now free, yep. But if you spend some, then
you spend a focus point to do something else.
Yeah, to do something else, which is really nice.
And that means you could use step of the wind to do all 3. Just dash and disengage.
Just disengage and dash. Yeah. You can't dash, disengage, and dodge. That would be absolutely.
That's insane. That's the problem with monk is the fact that you could do only one of those 3 as a bonus action, and you're spending a key point. This way, if you spend that, you're doing 2 things, and you can actually have a better chance of getting away, or at least disadvantage on your attack.
And I believe focus points do still come back on a short rest. I'm not too sure. I might be wrong on that. But I think they still do. It doesn't say anything about it, so I'm assuming they do. But at second level, you can also use Uncanny Metabolism. If you once per long rest regain all focus points when you roll initiative. So let's say you didn't take a short rest, you just think you could go on for a bit longer. Boom, all your focus points are back.
Yeah.
Are we seeing focus points as a term showing up anywhere else? Because it's focus points is a terminology in Pathfinder.
Yeah, so focus points is just a monk thing.
It'll
be a monk thing. I think they just wanted to rename key because key is I don't know, is definitely an interesting term to use. I think focus points makes it to where it's more like no matter what, it's just coming from your inner self.
Yeah.
And it's clearer too.
It's a generalized term.
Yeah.
He's like he's like.
Yeah, what does that mean?
No, I pull these keys out of my pocket.
Yeah, and most people who just come into the game, I want to play a monk. Great, you get key points. What? I got a what? Oh, you get a focus point. You're focusing your energy, your essence on
your spiritual energy, right? But so focus point, like
it's clarifying the word.
Focus down your son. Focus down your son.
So then at third level, they used to get deflect missiles, but now they get deflect attacks, which reduce the damage of melee or range attacks that deal bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing by 1d10 plus dexterity plus monk level. If damage reduced to 0, spend a focus point to redirect damage back at the opponent.
Melee?
Yeah, you can do melee now. You can redirect melee attacks now.
It's not just arrows at you.
Correct.
If someone tries to stab you, you could send that back to the person.
Yep. And by the way, I will specify it. I mean, you do that every turn, by the way. It's just to redirect it, you have to spend key points. So you are minusing damage from yourself every turn at third level.
Oh my gosh. And also it's like that Mr. Miyagi thing where he turns the punches and redirects it to
Yeah. 100%.
Then we have the monk subclasses, of course. We have Warrior of Mercy, Warrior of Shadow, Warrior of the Elements, and Warrior of the Open Hand. I mean, of course, they're subclasses, so we don't really know too much about them. They give some general descriptions.
There's talk about the apparently the Warrior of the Elements, which was the Way of the Four Elements, has been completely reworked to where people will actually make what people might want to play the subclass, since I've never known anyone who wants to play the Way of the Four Elements.
Well, hopefully every subclass in this book has been fixed to where everyone is like, oh, that actually sounds like a lot of fun now.
Yeah.
Of course, fourth level still gain that ability to score feat. There's nothing too much change with fourth level, but fifth level, Stunning Strike, still an ability you get. Requires a monk weapon or unarmed strike. Stun condition lasts until the start of your next turn rather than the end, so it's been nerfed a little bit in that way. But on a successful save, the target speed is halved, and the next attack against them has disadvantage.
On successful
saves.
Oh, that's nice.
So still has their speed halved, and the next person who hits him has advantage.
So stunning does something even if they succeed.
Correct. Of course, there's also been the nerf of can only be used once per turn, but hey, Paladin was also nerfed in that way too with smites. So
yeah, and also it's going to be stunned until you although the start of your next turn is kind of, it means you don't get that advantage,
Correct.
but you could immediately stun them again.
Yeah. It basically makes it where it makes it to where stun locking isn't as weirdly worded, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you can stun lock now more effectively, more in words, I believe, is what I would probably say.
Because they are unstunned, and so now you can stun them for
now you can
real.
stun them again. Yeah. They also get at 5th level Empowered Strike, which is just their old magical fist ability, but instead it just does force damage like all magical attacks do, which is just force damage now.
Yeah.
But different than the Elemental Strike that perhaps that subclass is going to be able to do of pulling it with like fire or cold or whatever.
Yeah.
Other than that, it doesn't look like it changes too much. Still gets evasion and whatever else it gets between 5th or 6th and 9th level. But at 10th, they get heightened focus, which improves flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind. When you expend a focus point, flurry of blows becomes 3 attacks instead of 2. I believe that's the correct terminology. That would be more specific in the book itself. Patient defense grants temporary hit points equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. And step of the wind allows you to move a willing creature with you. So you can you can grab someone with you and take them with you with step of the wind.
Nice. There's gonna be a cliff. There's gonna be a cliff involved with that very soon. Like you're just gonna go whoop and then see ya. And hope your wizard friend casts Featherfall.
Then also at 10th level, they just get the ability to remove the charm, frighten, poison, or poison condition at the end of your turn. And you can go without food or drink, which doesn't cause exhaustion. You don't have to drink or eat. Congrats.
It's always nice.
I think getting both of those at 10th is a very good double whammy.
Deflect attacks now applies to all damage. So do you choose reduce the damage?
So what he's talking about is at 13th level you get deflect energy, which deflect attack now applies to all damage types. So you got a firebolt coming at you, you just bend it somehow away from you, and you can redirect it too.
Oh my gosh. That's you are
the avatar. You are a superhero.
That's the problem I've had with monks is they are upfront fighters, but they're also little glass cannons because they're upfront fighters that can get hit so easily. So this is really going to help redirect literally the attacks that are coming at them.
Yeah. At 15th, you get perfect focus. If you don't use Uncanny Metabolism, which is the free comeback on the short rest short rest thing, and have fewer than, or not short rest, but like a minute, I believe, and you have fewer than 4 focus points, go back up to 4 focus points in rolling initiative. You get 4 focus points every initiative at 15th, at the very least.
Yeah.
So you've always you're
always able to do monk things.
And I'm guessing it's going to be like you get 1 focus point per level, like you do in current.
Yeah. Then 18th level, superior defense. Spend 3 focus points at the start of your turn to gain resist to all damage types except force for 1 minute. So you're resistant to everything except for force. Congrats, you're a barbarian. For a minute.
You're a totem barbarian.
You are a barbarian for a minute, except for instead of psychic, it's force.
Psychic force, right?
Yeah. Then of course you get your epic boon, which I don't know what the recommendation is for that.
Let's see. So the recommended epic boon is boon of irresistible offense. First, increase your strength or dexterity ability score by 1 up to 30. Next, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage you deal always ignores resistance.
Yep.
Additionally, that's not for a minute or anything. That's always. So you could go after a Tarask that has resistance to all those and just beat him up. Just beat him up.
Just do it, Michael.
We'll do
it. From the inside. Jump inside.
Yes. You just go all Drax on him.
I don't need a wish ring. I have a monk.
Yeah. Additionally, when you roll a 20 on an attack roll, you can deal additional damage equal to the ability score you increased with this feat.
Yeah, so we don't know how much the increased damage is, but basically you do an extra damage die. It's basically kind of brutal critical, but
for a monk.
And for epic boons. Which, that might be a good boon for fighters and barbarians too, honestly. Then finally, their capstone 20th level ability is Body and Mind, which just increases your just increases your dexterity and wisdom up by 4 to a max of 25.
It's the barbarian con and strength increases
Correct.
by 4, which is huge.
Which is huge for monk.
Yeah.
That increases your AC still too.
Yeah.
So if you have insane AC at
yeah,
20th
so you
level,
could all of a sudden be at a 20th level at 24 8 dex and wisdom. Plus, actually, because of that boon of yours, you could actually be at 25 dex and 24. So it's like, oh my gosh. The other thing I was thinking was, so we don't have much time left. 5 minutes left. I want to say a couple of things. First off, because we'll get to them later, wild magic. As I was reading through it, when you roll, what happens when you do a spell? If you're a wild magic user,
you roll.
Yeah, you better roll that D20.
roll a d20, and what is it if you get a
1? You roll the wild magic surge table.
Right. So the new one, it's if you roll a 20. It's the same chance. All you've done is change the number.
You know what it should have been? It should have been.
ready for this.
It should have been a 20 or a 1.
I know. Or that's what I was thinking. I was thinking they've made changes. Like, so it's a bigger chance of your wild magic. If you roll a 3, if you roll an 8, it doesn't matter. You just roll one number on a d20.
It should be. What it should be is the number 13.
Yes, it should be the number 13.
I say you don't roll the die; it just happens every time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point of like Tides of Chaos.
Yes.
Is that your DM could just say, "Oh, you cast a spell. Okay, great. Now wild magic."
Actually, yes. According to the wild magic, there are more opportunities for the wild magic to happen. So they have negotiations. It was just weird. It was just, I mean, changing it from a 1 to a 20. You didn't do anything. You just changed the number. Also, real quickly, bards, the College of Dance, is basically the bard monk.
Yeah. Also, you guys will probably talk more about this later, but bard, whenever they get magical secrets, I think now at like a 10th level, they basically just get to choose whatever spells they want, and they can switch out their bard spells for them too. From like the cleric, the wizard, and the another list. Wardrobe, yeah, the cleric, the wizard, and the wardrobe list. So anytime they get to go into the wardrobe and change what they're wearing.
Now that's a bard.
D&D knockoff.
That's a bard walking around with their own wardrobe.
Cleric, the wizard, and the wardrobe.
Cleric, the wizard, and the wardrobe.
I'll be right back, and he jumps into the wardrobe.
It's like Clark Kent and turning into Superman.
It's bigger on the inside, right?
It is bigger on the
inside.
inside.
Out, so.
They gave bards a TARDIS.
It's a Bardis.
The Bardis. Johnnie wins. Mic drop. That's it.
Johnnie wins plausible deniability.
How did it become 7:57 already? We've only been talking for 20 minutes.
We only made it through 2 classes.
And
we gotta come back with Sorcerer and Bard next time. Maybe.
Yeah, there's still so many more to talk about because we've gone through all the road. We still do need to talk. We should talk about Wizard. There are a few changes. Cleric. They have the Cleric out now, so we can talk. The Ranger is out now.
I think the only thing we're missing is Druid. Maybe
they haven't done a Druid by Druid. Now they've got the Circle of the Moon Druid, and
I don't know why they did that before.
Changes to Wild Shape.
Versus 2014.
They were giving DMs hope that they were going to fix the breakage of Circle of the Moon, right?
Yeah.
So
they got and they've got the 10 species very quickly. Would you like to know the 10 species that are going to be in the Players Handbook?
Go ahead.
Here we go. Azamar, Dragonborn.
Oh.
Dwarf, by the way, Dwarf now has 120 feet of dark vision.
They all do.
No, just the Dwarf. Elf, Gnome, Goliath, Halfling, Human, Orc, and Tiefling. So
Azamar and Goliath added onto the list of the originals.
And Orc.
That makes sense.
But there is no half-orc.
Full-blooded Orc.
And no half-elf.
Okay. Yeah, because you would just play a human or an elf. Because they've already talked about.
They've already talked about that. There is no half orc or half human.
There are no
or
half elf
races anymore. Yeah,
they are
almost anymore.
I almost said a bad word and called them halvesies.
Yeah,
so,
they're flavored. They're just flavored to where you can say I had but I am basically you have the appearance of an elf, whereas like Tanis would be more of the human.
Yeah.
So he'd be a human, but with So they've taken out half elves, taken out half orcs.
Michael, Tanis elf, but more human.
No,
it's the Tanis half elven.
That's right.
Well, wasn't it in the first book where they say why do they call you a half elf? And he goes because half man is derogatory or something like that. Yeah.
He says something. I remember
because if you call someone a half man, that's like they're not you know, that's
I'm only half the man I used to be.
yeah. So
I remember that
he
a
actually
very
mentioned
similar
that in the first
line.
book.
I remember a very similar line. I mean, that's the line I think we're talking about. Is I remember reading that and having this like oh moment because he was like he basically said, yeah, but to the elves, I'm only half human.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know that only like I'm half human. Like I'm not full. I'm not complete. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dragonborn, dwarf, elf, gnome, halfling, and tiefling are returning. Oh, and human, obviously. But I think orc, Goliath.
Man, I can't believe they
And
brought back
Asmar.
humans. What the heck,
I-
man? Why they bring that? Why they bring that species?
By the
back?
way, humans.
people are
Humans. It
problems.
looks like they've just gone
Yeah.
straight variant.
I mean,
They're
that
not-
makes
Oh yeah.
I totally forgot normal human
If
was a
it's-
thing
if
in this
it's-
game.
I know.
Yeah.
It should have been variant in the first place. I think that was one of the things they threw in, and they went, you know, it should because everyone chooses variant now. I mean, so they just went. That's what you get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is no
Humans
variant human. It's just humans.
choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're so adaptable.
Anyway, so that'll be kind of fun. There's gonna be a lot of stuff fun. Hopefully, in a couple weeks, we'll see some people with the actual Players Handbook out, and so in a couple weeks, we'll come back to Plausible Deniability and talk more about the next few classes that have dropped and everything like that. So, thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Cross.
Johnny Payne.
Brooke Bullock.
Aidyn Cross?
There you go.
Woo! He knows his name.
Yay! All right, guys. You guys have a great time. We will see you in a couple weeks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.